Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Man, in order to understand haq, must also understand truth. Haq is the Arabic word for reality. Truth is understood by all of us as also a form of reality. Within truth is Allah, for Allah is truth. And if man can find his place within truth, then man can find reality. But it's very rare that man finds truth. There are a number of people within humanity who have learned the truth and who live the truth. And these people live in unity. There is no differences among them. There are no sects among them. There are no divisions among them. There is no enmity among them. They are all in the same place. They are all in reality with Allah. And these people live forever. These people have no demise because they have entered truth. But the ones who live in truth are a very small minority within the world. Most of the world lives in other kinds of societies, and they gather together claiming to be in some kind of unity, but there's constant conflict going on. There are so many of these societies. There are religious societies. There are caste societies. There are societies of rich people, societies of poor people, societies of fire worship, societies of all of the different religions, societies of color, societies of nationality. And all of these have differences one from the other, and they make a point of emphasizing their differences. And so these societies, where all of these differences are emphasized, become breeding grounds for difficulty. They become breeding grounds for enmity. And eventually, they become breeding grounds for war. And what is it that is the major differentiation between the society of truth and all of these other societies? Well, there's different ways of approaching this and seeing it. There is the level of consciousness, and then there's also the level of interaction. On the level of interaction, the world societies that are causing all of these problems and all of these separations are all looking to control other people. They're all looking to tell somebody else what to do and to keep them under their control. The societies of truth don't look to other people. The people in those societies look to themselves, look to correct themselves. They don't look to correct everybody else. And this is one of the major differences between people in truth and people in the worldly societies. Every religion tries to tell every other religion that they're wrong and they should join that religion. Every race tries to tell every other race that we are a superior race and we should be the ones in charge. Every caste tries to be the dominant caste. Every nationality tries to be the dominant nationality. It's very rare in the world of Satan's societies that people can give up the need to control others. So we, as students of this world and as students of God, need to realize some basic things. We need to focus on ourselves, and we need to focus on the parts of ourselves that are living in the world of differences, that are living in the world of separations. And we have to do away with those separations. And what are those separations? Our mind separates us from truth. Our desires separate us from truth. Our thoughts separate us from truth. Truth is one. Our mind is of the elements, and our mind can't understand that one. So our mind lives in a world of differences. Our mind lives in a world of separations. Our mind is at the core of I. Our mind is at the core of our egocentric self. Our mind is at the core of trying to emphasize ourselves, make ourselves greater, make ourselves bigger, make ourselves more at the expense of everyone else. Our mind's intention is just for us. Our mind's intention is to make ourselves bigger. Our mind doesn't have the ability to transcend. And what does transcend mean? It means to leave the worldly satanic qualities of arrogance, differences, I, mine, hastiness, blame for others, praise for ourselves. We have to be able to leave these qualities. And how do we leave these qualities? First, we have to become aware of them. We have to become aware of our thinking. We have to become aware of our exclusivity. We have to become aware of our prejudices. We have to become aware of the things that we push away from us as not worthy of us. We have to become aware that we push people away as not worthy of us. We have to begin to understand that Allah created all men. When our teacher, Muhammad Rahim Bawa Muhaiyaddeen, would address us, he would always begin, or usually begin, the same way. Children, gems of my eyes. Now, he didn't say, my children from Sri Lanka, gems of my eyes. He didn't say, my children from America, gems of my eyes. He didn't say, my children in Islam, gems of my eyes. He didn't say, my children in Hinduism, gems of my eyes. He didn't say any particular nationality. He didn't say any particular religion. He didn't point out anyone separately. It was a blanket acceptance and a blanket showing of love. It was like the rain. It came and it fell on everyone without discrimination. His attitude was without discrimination. But when you go to these societies that are discriminatory, when you go to these societies that are separate, they will usually begin with, my fellow so-and-so, my fellow Muslims, my fellow Hindus, my fellow Zoroastrians, my fellow, and you can name whatever club you want after that. There's always a distinction made. There's always a separation made. And it's within these separations that all of the difficulties of the world begin to happen. If you consider your nationality better than every other nationality, eventually you are going to want to spread your nationality to other nations. And you're going to say things like, you're better off being part of our governance. You're better off being under our control. And this is going on in the world right now. There are countries who are saying to independent nations, we should be controlling you. We should be your government. We know better than you. Sufism is a danger to this kind of thinking and to this part of the world, because Sufism says your relationship is not with the world. Your true relationship is with God. And all of the machinations of the world, all of the tricks and ploys of the world, all of the hypnotisms and the torpors of the world, all of the obsessions and the desires of the world are not truth. They're all temporary. They're all illusory. They're all for a period of time that you call your life, and then they disappear. People write biographies about themselves to tell the world all of the wonderful things that they have done. Well, no matter what man has done, his end is the same as every other man's. His life has a term the same as every other life. But there is a creator, and the creator is eternal. And his story is the story we came here to learn. His story is the story we came here to understand. And his story is what is going to save us from this world of hell that we live in when we live in this world of differences. A cowboy can herd 1,000 head of cattle. We have to herd all of the qualities within us that are prone to separation. We have to gather them all together. We have to put them all in one point, and then we have to make them disappear, so that within us there are no differences, so that within us we are pure and connected to truth. And truth is Allah, and Allah is one. And this number one keeps repeating itself over and over and over in the understanding of truth, in the understanding of reality. One is, in truth, all that exists. So who are we to separate the world into sections? Who are we to say that somehow we are fundamentally different than other groups? Somehow we are fundamentally different than other people. Somehow our color decides who we are. Somehow our language decides who we are. Somehow our religion decides who we are. Does God have a color? Does God have a specific language? Does God have a religion? Or is God transcendent of all religions? Is he beyond every faith? Is he beyond every ritual? Is he beyond every way of worshiping him. Do we have the temerity to limit Allah? Can we say that the only way you can get in touch with him is to use a certain language, or the only way you can get in touch with him is to do certain rituals, or the only way that you can get in touch with him is to read certain scriptures? Do we have the right to say this about Allah? Have we met him? Have we talked to him about this? Has he explained to us that it's this way? No, he hasn't done that. No, we haven't seen him. But each of us, in our own tongue, in our own language, in our own body, look towards him and want to understand him. And that yearning is not limited to any race. That yearning is not limited to any religion. That yearning is not limited in general. It's not a limited thing among humanity. It pervades all of humanity. And who are we to say that this part of humanity's yearning is stronger than our yearning? This part of humanity's yearning is not as worthy as our yearning for Allah. This society's method of obeisance to their creator is somehow not as valuable as the way we do things. And we have to force everyone else to follow the way that we go. The Quran says there is no compulsion in religion. Yet, what is one of the major traits of most religions? Compulsion. Why do religions get involved in so many wars? Because of compulsion. They wish to make themselves larger and larger and larger and a more important entity in the world. The institution has to grow, and the people within the institution have to take on the attitude that it is their responsibility to make it grow. How often have you heard the term holy war? Can you imagine holy war? War on behalf of Allah? Allah needs you to go to war? Allah needs you to kill people in order to make his word known? Allah is merciful. Allah is gracious. Allah is loving. Allah is kindness. Allah is compassion. His name is Rahman and Rahim, the merciful and the compassionate. So why do his adherents, and I'm not saying any specific religion, but why do his adherents have to fight to bring people into their specific way of worship? What is the point of that? The Quran says there's no compulsion in religion, and this really means two things. One, you have no right to try and push somebody else into a religion. And two, you can't make people believe the way you want them to believe. It's inside of their heart. And that part inside of their heart is only going to become a believer if that person can become a believer. In this world, we build so many churches. We build so many mosques. We build so many temples. Every religion has a different house of worship. But in truth, if we can open up that one house of worship that is within each of us, we all have that same house of worship. Within each of us is a heart, and within that heart, Allah resides. And if we can look inside ourselves and we can begin to understand that place, and worship in that place, then truth will come to us. But the only way to do that is to become truth. And how do we become truth? There is something called the Asmaul Husna. The Asmaul Husna is a recitation of the names of Allah. There are 99 names, and it's through these names that he rules his kingdom. Each one of these names has a quality, and these qualities rule his kingdoms. Now, these qualities are what form the body of Allah, but that body has no form. It is formless, and it is light, and it is a light body that gives off a resonance. Now, he says to us, Allah says to us, take from what I am and bring it into yourself. Take from what I am and create it in yourself. Take my qualities and make them your qualities, and take as much as you can. And don't look at what anybody else takes. Just look at what you can take. No matter how much you take from Allah, you cannot diminish Allah. So take as much as you want. What he does for us is he gives, he protects, he feeds, and he gives of himself. So all of his qualities are here with him and capable of being with us if we understand what they are and if we imbibe them, if we bring them into ourselves. And what happens is, as you bring these qualities into yourself, a light body is formed within you of God's qualities. And this light body is how you come to know Allah. This light body is what will worship Allah within you. So there are so many external churches. There are so many external mosques. There are so many external temples. But we have to find the internal place of worship. And that internal place of worship is within us. And we have to find that. And we have to create the light body that can get to that place. All of the animals of the world are in us. All of creation is within us. There are thousands of lions. There are thousands of tigers. There are thousands of bears. Imagine, you go up to a man who growls like a lion or growls like a tiger and tell him it is his obligation to round up all of these tigers within him and put them in a corral and then train them and put them under control. Imagine what his reaction will be to you. Also imagine if you haven't trained the animals within you yet, and you call to them and you say, we're all going to be in unity now. They're all going to run away. They're not going to listen to you. This is going to take a lot of effort. You know, the prophet was asked, don't you have these other qualities within you also? And the prophet's answer was, yes, I do, but I've turned all mine into Muslims. He's made them believers. This is what we need to do. We need to take all of the abhorrent qualities within us and turn them into Muslims, turn them into believers. This takes training. This takes time. This takes effort. In the same way that we were trained, we have to train everything within us and bring everything within us into truth, everything within us into hak, reality. If you have children, your children are going to act the way that you act. So if you are merciful, your children will be merciful. If you are angry, your children will be angry. And if you are going to change the qualities inside of you, and you think you can change these qualities and still be angry, and still carry hatred, and still carry differences, but expect the qualities within you to change, this is a fool's errand. This is a fool's way of thinking. This is wishful thinking. It can't be done that way. It all begins with internal change by ourselves. It also begins with not focusing our entire energy on ourselves, but focusing on the fact that there is an entire humanity out there, and we are part of that entire humanity. And somehow we need to love all of that humanity in the same way that we love ourselves. And this begins internally by recognizing the various qualities within us. We have to clear the hell that is within us. We are either living in truth, which is with Allah in heaven, or we are living in the qualities of Satan, in the qualities of differences, in the qualities of anger, in the qualities of aggression, in all of the qualities of societies that are all trying to control each other, that are all trying to control humanity. We don't need to control humanity. We need to control ourselves. We need to become real. We need to become truth. The Quran says if you save one man, you have saved all of humanity. Who is that man that you have to save? That man is yourself. And how do you save yourself? By giving up Satan's qualities and taking on Allah's qualities. And that means no matter what religion you're in, you have to be merciful. You are not given an exemption from being merciful because you're a Hindu. You are not given an exemption from being merciful because you are a Muslim. You are not giving an exemption from being merciful if you are a Zoroastrian. There are no exemptions from mercy. There are no exemptions from compassion. There are no exemptions from love. We must love. We are not created here to hate. A man in Medina came up to the Prophet and said, you should place a curse on all of the people in Mecca because of the problems they are causing us. And the Prophet said, I did not come into the world as a curse. I came into the world as a mercy. Now, is blowing up people a mercy? Is destroying others a mercy? Is killing people a mercy? Are we following in the footsteps of the one who came to show us the way? Or have we made up our own rules based on our need to control as opposed to allowing Allah's truth to control? We have to examine this, and we have to look at it very, very closely. And we have to understand that these lies have been taught to people ever since they were children. And it's very difficult when somebody's been taught something since they were a child to change their way of understanding. That which you learn as a child is like writing on stone. That which you learn as an adult is like writing on water. So For those of us who've gotten older and still set in the ways of the past, still set in the ways of differences, still set in the ways of differentiations between religions and between men and between colors and between castes, if we're still set in those ways, it's going to take a lot of work to change. It's going to take a lot of work to believe the truth of the unity of mankind. And if we want to find unity, we have to do away with all of that which is contrary to unity. If Allah is one, and if all is one, and your religion teaches you separations, you should look closely at why your religion does that. What is the point of teaching separations? What's the reason for teaching separations? What's the result of teaching separations? As long as we teach separations, we are teaching war, because that is the end result of separations. And those of us who follow the path of truth have decided not to study war any longer. We have decided to study love and to understand love and to see where love takes us. Or as the Beatles say, give love a chance. We've given everything else a chance. We've tried everything else. Why don't we try love? When's the world going to get around to understanding that this is the answer? Love is the answer, yet everyone denies love, and everyone sees love often as a weakness, when in fact it's the greatest strength. Allah's strength is through his love. When his love comes out into the world, there is no one who can withstand the power of that love. Everyone melts in front of the power of that love. Everyone succumbs to that love. Everyone falls in love with that love, and everyone's heart becomes melted, and all of the qualities of separation disappear. If we live in hell here, we are taking hell with us when we pass over. If we live in truth here, we are taking truth with us when we pass over. In the next world, it is a world of light. And in this world of light, all of the illusory things of this world don't exist. All of the hatred, all of the aggression, all of the enmity don't exist. And if that is who we are, and we take that into the next world, then we don't fit into the world of light. We fit into the world of hell. So the world that we create here inside of ourselves is the world that we take with us into the next phase of existence. So if we live in hell, we're going to take hell. If we live in heaven, we're going to take heaven. If we live in hatred, we're going to take hatred. If we live in love, we're going to take love. These are the decisions we need to make, and nobody else can make the decisions for us. Are you going to allow somebody else to decide that you should be a hater and that you should spend the rest of eternity in hell? Are you going to allow somebody to make that decision for you? Or are you going to break away and say, these decisions are for me to make, and the decision I want to make is to build a light body inside of this shell, and I want that light body to be of the qualities of Allah, and I want myself to be worthy, to be near Allah and close to Allah. And unless we take on his qualities, we can't be near him. He doesn't separate himself from us. We separate ourselves from him by not becoming like him. So we have to turn our attention to how godlike are we? How much of the Asmaul Husna is within us? When we say in the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate, can we apply the merciful and compassionate to ourselves? Can we say that we have mercy and compassion within us? Can we say that we love humanity? Can we say that we have an attitude towards humanity as Allah has towards humanity? Allah gives humanity. Allah loves humanity. Allah protects humanity. Allah raises humanity. Allah gives to humanity of himself. Are we like that? Well, we should be. And we need to shift our effort to allow that to happen. And our consciousness should be focused on that happening. What should we be thinking about? We should be thinking about how we can become godly, how we can become godlike, how we can take on God's qualities, and how we can give up the qualities of Satan, and how we can pierce illusion and not be caught in the torpor of the lies of separation that this world feeds us. Somehow, this has to become our life's work, because this existence, this shell of a body, it's all going to disappear. And when it disappears, who are we? Are we the ones who shouted about differences, who shouted about separations, who shouted about other people don't have a right to live? Or are we the ones who were merciful towards all of humanity, merciful towards all of existence in the way that Allah is merciful? We have to consider this. We have to think about this very deeply, and we have to think about the real reason for our existence. And may that reason be understood for each of us. May we understand that our reason for existence is to become merciful. May we understand that our reason for existence is to become compassionate. May we understand that our reason for existence is to learn to love in the way Allah loves, and that a body of truth is created within each and every one of us so that we can come close to our Lord, because we are like our Lord and worthy of him. And he will then bring us close to him and make us among those that he considers as friends. May that be the destiny for each of us. And let us be the ones who kick that destiny into gear so that it starts to go in that direction. And may Allah help each and every one of us accomplish this and make it easy for us. Allah, take us on the straight path. Take us on the path towards you. Take us on the path toward transcendence. Take us on the path of reality and the path of understanding. You are the only one who can do it for us. And we ask you, Allah, do it. Do it for us. Help us in this path. That is our intention. That is our will. Do it for us. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.